Hello and thank you for joining me again. I hope you join me in a state of gratitude and positive energy, and you're in a nice calm place and ready to enjoy another experience. Someone has taken the time to write out for us and then send it into this website, and now we get to all enjoy it together. This one is from a guy called Aaron, surname M it starts with, and this is Aaron's experience. After several hours of being ill, I felt like I was in complete confusion, sickness, and disorientation. Then I had a feeling of severe stabbing and burning pains in my chest. A friend led me to a bed to rest. I looked towards the window and I saw a swirling portal in front of me. It's so beautiful and so colourful. It looks like something I've never seen before. The main shape is a deep dark blue, and it's changing shape constantly. Around and behind it are other crystal-like colours that are moving too. The portal is growing bigger and bigger until all I can see is the portal. Then I was inside it. I looked around and all I can see is endless space. It feels like I'm in the middle of the universe and travelling through it. I can see forever. No words can describe how far I can see or how big this place is. It's more than you can ever imagine. It's endless, but somehow the huge size of it all doesn't seem overwhelming, and I don't feel small. It feels like the whole place is taking care of you, and it feels like freedom. There were colours flying around everywhere in this dark space, like shooting stars in the distance. Some colours are up close, some feel like they're behind me, and some colours feel like they're inside me. I can't explain it. I remember that I saw colours that I've never seen before. When I saw the new colours, it made perfect sense. It was the feeling of, oh, of course that colour exists. How did I ever forget about that? Everything seemed so familiar and unusual at the same time. I could see planets, stars, and galaxies. I can feel the earth far behind me. I'm traveling deeper and deeper through the universe. I can feel something pulling me towards it. It's a force stronger than gravity, and it's calling me. The colours are fading, and the planets and shapes are becoming fewer and fewer. It really feels as if I'm getting close to the edge of the universe now. I can feel it. Then suddenly there is perfect silence, perfect peace, and 100% calmness. I've crossed a boundary, and I'm not in the universe now. Instead of darkness, everything is the creamiest white you've ever seen. It's not just a plain colour, because it seems to have a texture to it. It is a creamy, milky texture, crossed with rubber, but also at the same time, It was as light and thin as air. Words can never describe it. It was like being bathed in melting wax, but without it ever sticking to you. You can feel it on your skin. You can just see it everywhere. I can tell there is no time or space anymore. Time doesn't make sense to me now. It feels stupid that I ever even believed in time. I can feel myself melt into my surroundings. I can feel everything that ever existed before me, and I can see millions of years ahead. I can't explain it, but it's as if all of this knowledge was suddenly released and given to me. I suddenly know that life will last forever because I'm at the place that everything came from. I can feel it. This energy place is so big that I know nothing can destroy or create it. It would be impossible. This thing I'm in, it must be God. It's not a man or creature dictating over the world. It's just a force that is an endless and infinitely powerful thing. But again, the word thing doesn't even do it justice either. Its existence itself. It runs through everything. It is everything. From a stone to a drop of water to a bacteria to the stars in the sky and even nothingness. It is everything. I can feel it. Then suddenly I fall. I'm falling deeper and deeper and faster and faster. Everything is going dark. The further I fall, the blacker it gets. I want to stop falling, but I can't control it. I notice that I don't seem to have a body anymore. How am I falling without a body? Suddenly, the fall stops. I'm in a dark space. It's blacker than I've ever seen before. It is a thick, dark blackness. It is huge and almost endless, but something about it feels smaller than the place I was before. It feels like I'm underneath something, but I don't know what. It's silent here too. There's nobody or nothing else here. The way I feel here is different. There's no happiness or excitement. It's just boring. There wasn't unhappiness either, just indifference. It feels like there's nothing to learn. That's a strange way to describe it, but that's how it felt. It was like I was in a place where there was 100% nothing. I would never learn anything there and would never communicate with anyone or anything. In the distance, I saw a bright light that was getting closer and closer. Either I moved up to it or it moves closer to me. Either way, it is a lot closer to me now. I saw a regular bull, but it is made of fire. Its size is indescribable and larger than anything I've ever seen. flames gently bathe its whole body. The bull is walking calmly and purposefully through the darkness. When I see the bull, I suddenly sense a cold, wet feeling, but I don't know where it's coming from. The bull turns and looks at me. It looks calm and peaceful. It nods its head at me, almost bowing, and keeps walking. I can sense that it's really intelligent and friendly, but he doesn't speak. The bull turns its head back again, and with a flick of its neck, gestures for me to follow him. I start moving behind him. He's leading me somewhere, but I don't know where or why. I'm still feeling completely bored. I don't want to be in this place. Bored might seem like a strange way to describe this period, but it really was as if there was nothing here. It was almost like torture. Suddenly, I feel something lift me. I hear a single voice say, "Don't follow him." I'm being lifted higher and higher while everything is getting lighter again. I'm back in the white place, the part where everything is. This time, there are other things there. Organized colors were everywhere within the whiteness. A kaleidoscope would be something slightly similar, but it was more than that. It was so spaced out and complex. White was still the main color, but there were thousands of other colors everywhere, dotted in mathematical shapes and patterns. Shapes and colors unfolded, grew, and glistened. Others pulsated, and some just floated around. "You're home now," seemingly thousands of voices said to me. All were speaking at the same time, but as one voice. But it wasn't like I heard them with my ears. It was like they communicated directly with my soul. I replied that I don't know where I am. Even though I did know, I didn't want to admit to myself where I was. They replied, "This is where you came from, and this is where you'll end up going." They kept repeating it again and again. The colors pulsated with their voice as they spoke. I could feel and see a timeline of the whole of existence. It was like they were showing it to me. I could see everything, not just our galaxy. I saw the whole universe. I could see the Big Bang. Although it wasn't a bang, it was more like a slow drip. It was like a material being stretched, and slowly a hole formed in the middle of it. We are in that gap. I begin to understand it was God energy place turning itself into existence. It made a rule, as if it made a game and set wheels in motion. Everything started from a small point and grew from there slowly. The universe is a thing that created itself and is watching itself. We are all part of it. This place, this thing, this existence that created us and is us doesn't know where life will lead. That is what it enjoys. The voices tell me to let go. They explain that they think I'm still clinging on to myself as a human. I say I'm not ready to join them yet. They tell me that I'm being irrational because I am them. They say it's time to come home. They assure me that it will only be temporary because energy always needs to be reborn over and over again. I will transform into something else one day. Suddenly, a flash of memories hits me. I remember myself as 1,000 different insects all at once. I remember another time where I was being eaten by something. I remember being born and being here before. I tell them I understand, but I still haven't finished my life as a human yet. I still have a lot to learn, a lot to see, and I want to see the people I love again and let them know how much I care about them. The existence/energy tells me that I can still see them. They say they'll show me. They tell me to reach out. Even though I have no body, I reach out somehow. I can't see anything reaching. I can just sense that I'm reaching. Suddenly the whiteness feels like it's fusing with me. It's so warm. It's flowing through me and I'm merging with it. The thousands of voices tell me that this energy, this is what everything in existence is made from, and that it flows constantly through everything. They explain that because this flows through everything, it means that everything and everyone is connected. They say that this bright, white energy even exists in the air, in the space between things, and in space itself. Even in places where we can see nothing, it's still filled with energy. They say that because I am now returned to the source energy, I can now flow through anywhere I want. They show me and I visit my loved ones, but I don't actually see them. I just feel them. The life force then shows me worlds and places I never imagined. So far away from Earth where other life exists, and some places are just completely empty. I distinctly remember seeing another planet with a huge grass plain with trees dotted around it. It didn't look anywhere like anywhere on Earth because the grass was almost as tall as the trees. Running through the trees was something that looked like a cross between a yak and an orangutan. It was huge, muscular animal, charging quickly through the wild. I'm then shown more and more places, some remarkable and some unremarkable. I realized just how huge the universe is. Earth is just a tiny part of an endless world. Then, in a flash, I'm back in the white energy again. I tell the energy that seeing the people I care about isn't enough. I want them to be able to see me, and so I need to go back to my own body. I want the people I care to not be alone and I can at least say goodbye. They tell me not to worry. Everybody will remember me because I have made an impact on their lives. They say I will live on in their memories, and even though they will be sad for a while, they will get over it. Eventually, the people I love will also return home, so I shouldn't worry. I can feel myself getting sad, even though I feel like I'm home, completely at comfort, and have fully trusting beings with me in this place. I still have this unshakable feeling that I'm not ready to return to that place yet. They can sense how I'm feeling. They continue to let me to let go of myself as a person, that I am just a form that their energy has taken, and now it's time to be absorbed back into the energy. I hear the voices say, "Look, we'll show you." Suddenly I can feel that I'm back in my human body, but I'm viewing it from inside my brain. I'm in the very middle of my brain and I'm infinitely small, surrounded by millions of honeycomb-like shapes. I was divided by large chasms and separated into different areas. I can see my brain working. There are only 3 colors here: red, yellow, and white. Each individual honeycomb, what I assume to be cells, is flashing between the colors depending on when it's being used. The energy introduces me to my brain. It turns out that my brain isn't just one thing. It was as if it was segmented into several different areas. They showed me where my personality was kept. I saw how I was nothing but a bunch of memories and training that made me think I was a human. My brain then said, "Watch," as I moved to a different area of it. I saw pulses of electricity moving from my brain to my heart. It seemed so simple, like a machine. It seemed especially simple compared to the endless universe I had seen before. The energy explained to me that my body was just a machine. My personality was just imaginary and shaped by the things I've seen. They said the only reason I exist is to see things and to experience life. They said all the things I see and experience are sent back out into the universe. They said that the universe is always learning by watching itself through all of our eyes. They also told me that humans are no different than animals and that they were created equally. The universe wanted to create as many different experiences as it could, and that's why there are so many variations of life forms and species. They said that there is no life span or plan, that I should understand that I've lived and that's all I needed to do. They explain that it doesn't matter when or how you die. They explained how life isn't a competition to stay alive the longest. If I were to die, then I shouldn't worry that I didn't last long. I will never truly die. I will just change. It will be only my body that dies. As they were saying this, I could feel heavy vibrations beginning in my toes and then moving up through my body. It was as if my body were made up of thousands of grains of sand, and they were all vibrating at different frequencies. I could feel myself peeling from my body. It was slowly like Velcro being torn from fabric, or chicken meat being pulled from the bone. I was now two things, a body and an existence. In my body, I could feel all of my muscles relaxing. My shoulders fell back and my head fell back. I felt my jaw flap open, my tongue relaxed, and I heard a crunch. Suddenly, I didn't weigh anything because I was freeing myself. I had completely left my body. My body wasn't mine anymore because I wasn't in it anymore. I had freed myself and joined them like they said. I finally accepted what was happening. The honeycombs disappeared and I'm not in my brain anymore. I'm with them somewhere where we all began. The thousand voices break into conversation, telling me stories, reciting poems, singing, and telling me about history and about the future. Instead of being slow and calm, it feels like everything is happening quickly now. It's almost too much to comprehend. I suddenly feel sad again. Again, I tell them I don't want to be there. I want to learn more as a person. They ask why, as if I had just told them the most stupid thing they've ever heard. I don't answer them. They then explain that they have some people there that I know. I looked up. Standing above me, almost like a giant, is a lady I know who died recently. She looked down at me and repeats everything that I've just been told, but without moving her mouth. She says how we are all energy, how everything is connected, and how I shouldn't be afraid. She says that nobody wants to be here, but we all must go eventually. She said that she will take care of me so I shouldn't feel sad or worried. I asked her, but if you're energy now, then how come I can see you? Why do you still look like a human? Why haven't you turned into another creature on a planet somewhere? She doesn't directly answer my question. Instead, she explains that the universe is a huge place and there's so much energy around, even more that can fit into the universe. She tells me that it can take millions of years until it's your turn to return into a being again, but that it doesn't matter because you can't feel time when you're energy. I explain one more time that I'm not ready for that yet. She replies something along the lines of, then you better do something about it. I suddenly find myself jolting up in bed and my throat filled with vomit. I can feel a tiny bit on my chest. I'm coughing it all up. The sun is shining through the windows and I feel very ill. My chest is pounding and the room is spinning. But suddenly I'm aware that whatever I'm experiencing is over. I'm not dead. I said to myself. I feel numb, in shock, anxious, scared, and unable to process what has happened. It's so much for my mind to comprehend. It was every emotion you can ever imagine, and it was the most significant thing to ever happen in my life. So that's the end of Aaron's experience. Unfortunately, I was just about to start some commentary and reflection on that, and my mum called. So I've been talking to her for the last half an hour, and I've kind of forgotten exactly what I wanted to say. But from memory, it was a good, really good experience. It was one of those ones that addresses some of those huge questions we all have as people, like how did the universe start? Who is God? What happens when we die? And yeah, lots of interesting things in this one. So let's go through it again so I can remind myself what exactly happened and hopefully give you at home a bit more of uh, an in-depth analysis of what actually went on here. And obviously, this is just my opinion and my take on it, and you're going to have your own, and always go with what you um, feel about the material you're hearing rather than hearing my or anyone else's opinion. That's just my opinion again, but for me, I think what something means to someone on a personal level is way more important than what other person teaches or says about a certain subject. So, this man, this guy called Aaron, he is feeling unwell, but he doesn't go into an obscene amount of detail as to what's actually wrong with him. He says he just feels severe stabbing and burning pains in his chest. So it doesn't sound like he's in a good state, but it doesn't have pages and pages of what actually happened. This is what I love about this experience. It just goes straight into the stuff I and hopefully you really want to hear about what actually happens in the afterlife or when we cross over. What are we? Like, is there an existence after this physical one? So for Aaron, everyone's experience starts slightly different. Some will just jump out of the body, boom, here 1 minute, next dimension the next. Some will go through a tunnel. Some will float out of their body and kind of keep a bit of an awareness on what is happening in the physical world while having the other foot in this other dimension. For Aaron, it starts with a swirling portal. So I don't know, everyone has a kind of idea, I guess, of what a swirling portal looks like. Probably something like a Star Trek or Star Wars show where there's, I guess, looks kind of like looking into a tornado from above the ground. And that's how I imagine what a swirling portal would look like. And Aaron sees in this portal lots of colors, incredible colors, endless space. And as he gets further into this portal, he feels like he is in the middle of the universe, and it is huge. He cannot describe how big this place is, but try picturing the biggest space you can imagine, and it's endlessly bigger than that. And uh, he says, though, when he's in this area, he doesn't feel overwhelmed and he doesn't even feel small. Um, he says, and I like how he describes this, it's like the whole place is taking care of you and it feels like freedom. So lots of people, I think, describe it similarly, but usually they put in words like love or feelings of belonging or connectedness. And in his case, he just says, feels like the whole place is taking care of me. And I like that because I haven't heard it before. But one thing, I liked about this experience was its ability to convey pretty matter of factually what actually went on without uh, getting drawn into those words like love and he doesn't even really use the word God in here. And I'm kind of in two minds about this because I do love this experience, but if there was something I would like to see a little bit more of is those words love and God in there. And I'm just a little bit biased, I guess, when it comes to that because I feel a deep need to have this word love included, and it just helps me personally deal with this life we live here as humans, and without that understanding that God is love and love is God, and that is kind of a big part of what I try to revolve my existence around these days. And nobody really mentions anything like that in this experience, which is fine. Like it gives us another unique experience and take on what exactly someone else has gone through in this other dimension. And the words we use here as humans are only pointers anyway to something that is really beyond words. So just a little side note there that um, uh, on my personal take on this experience. So he is seeing planets, stars, galaxies. He's traveling through this portal, and the Earth is getting left further and further behind, and he's flying through this universe, and he can feel something pulling him towards the end of this portal or wherever he is. It's just like drawing him in. It's stronger than gravity, and he can feel he's getting closer to whatever this source is that's almost ripping him from where he is and drawing him closer. And he feels like he's getting to the edge of the universe. So, and in this case, it's another little. So as he gets closer, he can feel he's becoming more peaceful, more silent, and more calm. And as he starts experiencing this calmness, another kind of different thing happens to him in terms of my research on this topic and how people experience this other dimension. Usually they come to this barrier or fence and they're unable to see what's past it. But in this situation, he says he crosses this boundary and everything suddenly becomes creamy white, and it's kind of like a milky texture, but it's firmer than milk because it's a little bit rubbery as well, but at the same time it's light and it's thin, and it goes beyond describing in human words, but he describes it as being like bathed in melting wax, but without it ever sticking to you. So that gives you a pretty good idea of what Aaron was experiencing in this dimension beyond this boundary he has just passed. So he doesn't actually say how he's feeling at this point, just more the physical sensation as to what this next stage in his experience has brought him. It's not about his feelings now, it's about what he's experiencing almost on a physical level without actually being in a physical realm. So it's difficult to comprehend, isn't it, when someone's describing how something looks and feels without them actually having those physical senses we do on a human body. So he is now realizing suddenly, once he's in this creamy texture, whatever it is, dimension, he can he suddenly starts to realize that there's no such thing as time. Time doesn't exist, and he even starts to feel stupid that he even believed in time. He begins to realize he can look millions of years into the past and also do the same into the future. He gets all this knowledge suddenly given to him, and he has this sudden epiphany that he knows that life lasts forever because he's in that place where everything comes from. It's an energy so big that nothing can ever destroy it. It would be impossible. So he is describing this place that he is in as God. And it is a very different way of describing it, isn't it? Because usually people will say it's light, it's a place of light, it's a place of feeling wonderful, it's a place of awe. And I guess in a way, his experience is pretty full of awe, but it's just a different reality to what most people go into when they experience this source of what created the universe, the creator, the source, God. So he actually says in this next sentence, the thing I'm in, it must be God. And it's not, and I like it how he continues to define God here. He says it's not a man or a creature dictating over the world. It's just a force. It's an energy. It's an endless, infinite, limitless, powerful thing. He puts thing in inverted commas. But the word thing doesn't do it justice. It is existence itself. It is everything. It runs through everything. It is that drop of water you can see. It's that bacteria crawling in your mouth. It is the stars and the sky. And then he goes on to say it is even nothingness itself. So when you hear people say God is everything, I think this guy has just done a pretty good job of describing that God is that thing we can't see with, that space between the objects. It's also the objects, and it's also, therefore, obviously in you. That energy that created everything that is also in you. And when you think of it like that, it's pretty obvious that you are a segment of God. So after experiencing this dimension where he has just gotten to meet, I guess, if that's the right word, God, he all of a sudden feels himself sinking. Things are getting darker. He's no longer in this creamy type of dimension, and he feels himself falling further and further and faster and faster. And this next part of the experience is very similar to what most people would call the void. And I think I read one about this recently, about someone's experience in the void. I mean, I do almost every second week, but here he has gone. Most people will go to the void straight away. They will cross over and go to this black nothingness where there's nothing to experience. And in this case, he has gone through a tunnel, gone to see God, and now he is falling away from God and into this black abyss where there's nothingness. And I will describe again how he has described this void. It's totally different feel to where he was just been, in that creamy type environment where he thought he was with God. In this void, there's no happiness or excitement. And in his case, some people are quite content to be there, but in his case, he is bored. He says there's nothing to learn. just nothing to do. There's nothing to compare yourself to or to analyze. It's just black nothingness. You can't communicate with anyone. There's no contextual field to give you any awareness of who you actually are, or what you're actually capable of. Or although you might kind of know who you are, there's nothing around you to be able to experience that. And I think that's a big point to why this whole universe has actually been created, is so we can, or God can, or the universe can, or this creamy texture can, whatever you want to call it, can experience itself through all the myriad of life forms that are on this planet and obviously on other planets too. Gives us as individual souls the chance to experience life through an interaction, or through this field that we can learn and play and just be. And it's a pretty miraculous thing, really, if you think about it, that once upon a time there was just nothingness, and now we've got all this life around us to be able to explore and learn and measure and and just have fun being human. So in this void, he's feeling a little bit bored and a little bit like, what do I do now? And next thing he knows, he sees this bull. So bull as in cow bull, not like a bouncy bull, but a bull. And its bull, he says, is made of fire, and it's huge. It's flames gently bathe its whole body, and it's calmly walking through the darkness. He says this bull starts nodding at him and pointing its head as though implying that Aaron should follow this bull. And then he hears this voice say, "Don't follow that bull. Just come with me instead." So I don't really understand that little paragraph there, what that's supposed to mean, what the symbolism behind that is. Is that just something to is this like meant to be a representation of something evil or something undesirable? This flaming bull, I don't really get it. That paragraph is just kind of thrown in there without much context. So he then, when he starts to follow this bull, he hears someone say, "Don't follow it." So he stops following it, and he goes, uh, decides that he should follow this voice instead. And this voice takes him to this lighter place. They go higher and higher, and everything there is white, and there's a few colors thrown in, and it's actually a little bit different because he is in this new dimension now where he is seeing mathematical shapes and patterns and colors he hasn't seen on Earth. And obviously that is a very hard thing to describe. The voice then says, "You're home now." And the voice is now seemingly thousands of voices all speaking at once. So Aaron has now been through this tunnel type thing, and now he went to the God or energy type environment, through to the void of nothingness where he's met by a huge bull on fire. And now he is in this new dimension that is seemingly a lot more positive. The voices are much more reassuring, and it seems to be a place more filled with love and light, even though he doesn't actually use those words. And here they kind of start communicating with him, telling him, "This is the home where you came from, and this is where you go back to once you leave your human form." And they keep repeating this over and over again. This is where you came from, and this is where you come back to. And in this new realm that he's in, he can feel and see a timeline of the whole of existence. It was like these voices or these beings or these energies were actually showing him everything. So here he gets to see how our whole galaxy was formed. He gets to see how the whole universe was formed. He sees the Big Bang. Although in Aaron's case, he says it's not really a Big Bang, more like he describes as a slow drip. It's like material slowly being stretched out with a big hole in the middle. And he says that this act of creationism is where God turned itself into existence. And he says at the time that this occurred, he sees God making a whole set of rules for this whole new game of existence to run by. And I guess that he doesn't actually go into what these rules were. I wish he could have explained that a little bit in a little bit more detail, but I guess that this means things like karma and the law of attraction and the fact that unconditional love is a good way to live your life, these sort of things. And none of these are compulsory. They're just, I guess, pointers into how to live and experience this physical realm with a little bit less suffering, by understanding how the universal laws that were made when it all started can be put into place. He says the universe is a thing that created itself and is watching itself. And we're all a part of that. And I kind of am intrigued by this last sentence because it kind of runs contrary to what he just has explained. Like a few sentences ago, he says he gets to see a timeline of the whole existence, like what is going to happen in the future even. And then he says here, a few sentences later, this place, thing, existence, God that created us and is us, doesn't know where life will lead. I don't get that. Like, how can you not know where life leads, but also be able to see the future? Another part of this experience which I enjoy, like I know I talk about this most weeks, but it's because it's a huge fascination of mine. Like this guy here, he says that God created us and is us, but doesn't actually go into specific detail as to what that actually means. Does he mean us as humans or us as spirits? And what is the separation between lots of spirits and God itself? Is there any separation there? Is there an omnipresent big source that is disconnected from all these individual portions of itself? Is this how some humans are able to communicate with God, or spirits are able to communicate with God because there are two separate entities? These experiences tell us that we're all connected and we all come from the one thing. It's just confusing as to where that separation of individual entity ends and source connected oneness starts. Are we somehow on this endless cycle of disconnection, separation, individuality, and then we merge back into the one and rejuvenate, heal, and then come back out of that and start a cycle of being a physical and spiritual entity all again? Is it just this endless cycle? From my research on this topic, there seems to be those three main states. Like there's the physical world, there's the spiritual world, and there's this oneness where you lose all bearings of any notion of being an individual presence. You just merge with the one. And sometimes these people will have all three of these experiences in the one near death experience. This guy, I don't know, he doesn't quite ever lose his individual nature. He's always either kind of like this ball of energy that is still conscious of its own existence and separation, or he's in this human form, which he was at the start. Another quite unique thing about this experience, this next paragraph, he says, most people are very, very happy to stay in this other realm, but he's a little bit different here. He wants to actually return to his human experience. He says he's not ready to join them yet, and it's weird. It's like the opposite of almost every near death experience I've read. The spirits are telling him, his soul group or his soul family are telling him to let it go. Don't. Why do you want to go back to being a human? And it's usually the other way around. It's usually these guides or angels saying you need to go back to earth to finish all these things that you went down there to experience. But in this case, it's like, don't go back there. Don't go back to being a human. Stay with us. He's dead keen on it though, because he wants to go back and be with these people he loves, and he wants to be there in his physical body to be able to express to them how much he loves them. And the spirits he's with are telling him, look, don't worry, they will miss you if you pass on, but eventually, as time goes by, their grief will fade. And this is really different to what I'm used to reading, which is probably why I love it so much. Then he gets taken on this tour of what life is like on other planets. So this guy is getting the whole gamut of possible experiences in this near-death experience. He's really had it all. He's had the God experience, he's had the void, he's had the communication with other spirits, and now he's getting this tour of the universe. So you can see why this was a very profound experience for this individual and probably life-changing. He sees that he goes to these other planets where there's different forms of life that are intelligent, it seems. And he says one looks like a huge animal, which is a cross between a yak and an orangutan. And he comes to realize how that his own ball of energy is such a small part of this huge universe, and the planet Earth is it's just a tiny portion of all these other life bearing planets out there. Now, next he gets taken away from these planets and gets a bit of a tour as to how his actual body works. It's almost like he gets a bit of a bit of a medical training here. He gets taken into his own human brain and sees how the brain is just a tool, and even things like his personality is just shaped by the things he's experienced, and this is what has made him the person he is today, or when he died. He says that humans are no different from animals in that they were all created equally. He says there's so many different life forms on this planet and others, so the universe has a way of experiencing itself in as many ways as possible. He also goes on to say there is no such thing as a lifespan or plan to this whole place. It's just, we're just here. And I guess this sentence or paragraph kind of addresses what is the purpose of being here. And he says, it's not about anything really. It's just about the experience of living in a physical body. And it doesn't matter how long you live, or how you die, and life isn't a competition to see who can stay alive the longest. It's just about experiencing living in the form that you are living in right now. So this guy, it's one of the most magnificent experiences I've read, and I've kind of rushed through the analysis because there's so much there to take in and interpret. But I don't want to go on too long, so I'll probably just wrap it up there. He ends up getting having this other encounter with some lady who says to him something like, don't be afraid. I'm always going to be with you. You just got to go back to your body now. And this guy, he's more than keen to get back into his body, and wakes up and has this feeling of nausea and a bit of tightness in his chest, but he's alive. He's not dead. He's a little bit confused by the experience he's just had, which why wouldn't you? It was pretty remarkable, and he's just been on a tour of the universe. He's seen how it was all created. He's met God. He's met his soul group. He's had a tour of how his body works. There's not much that has been left out there, and luckily enough, he was able to recall a fair bit of it and come back and share it with us. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. One of the more descriptive ones I've read lately, and hopefully you were able to get something out of it as well. I guess at the end of the day, it's just like this experience we have as a human in this physical body is so different to what this other realm is like, and it's just remarkable to hear experience after experience come back and say similar things about what this other dimension is actually like. Timeless, filled with other energies and beings, and the ability to go and experience pretty much anything you ever want. Just exciting to think that that is a place we come from and a place that we go back to. But thank you for listening to me again for another week. I really appreciate you joining me, and if you want to reach out to me, send me an email at podafterlife@gmail.com. Have a good week, and remember, I love you, and talk to you next time. Goodbye.